Hello, Congressman. Welcome to the Quincy Dems once again. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm well, and we're all hanging in there, as we all say. So
Yeah,
we
well, good to be with
sincerely
you.
appreciate you coming on board tonight. Um, this process is new to all of us, but I find it to be advantageous. We have we have 40 participants tonight, Congressman.
That's great. That's great, Alicia. That's
Yeah,
great.
you're reaching a lot of people. So I don't want to take up any more air. The show is yours. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate the Quincy Dems for putting this together. I'm spending a fair amount of time down in D.C. I'm leaving again first thing in the morning. I think I'm on the 6 or the 7 o'clock shuttle. So this is timely. Uh, I should probably start by introducing myself. My name's Stephen Lynch. I'm a candidate for the United States Congress for re-election. Uh, my background, I grew up in South Boston. I have an extended family, many of whom moved to Quincy over the years, are purportedly in search of parking. Uh, my cousin Kerry owns 16C. And if I can give you one recommendation, it would be the broccoli Caesar salad or the prosciutto and fig pizza. She does a great job down there. But yeah, grew up in the old colony housing projects. We had a very humble beginning in our family. My dad was an iron worker. My mom was a postal worker. I have 5 sisters, no brothers, but 5 sisters. It's been a living hell. I actually followed my dad into the Ironworkers Union. I worked on the iron for 20 years, strapped on a pair of work boots every single day. I ended up becoming president of the Ironworkers Union. And one of the big changes in my life was when I got elected president of the Ironworkers. I thought I would be running the place, only to find out that in order to sneeze, I had to check with the lawyers. So I decided that I would go to law school. I had already got a bachelor's degree from Wentworth Institute in Engineering, but I went to law school and began a law practice, joined a law practice, and basically represented unions. I represented the Ironworkers Union, the Carpenters Union, the Stagehands Union, Local 11, the Wardrobe Workers, which is about 95% women, bunch of different unions that I had an opportunity, the Teamsters. But anyway, as part of my internship in law school, they required me to go back and do pro bono work anywhere I wanted. But I had to work 20 hours in the office, and then 20 hours they asked me to go do volunteer work, pro bono work. And again, I could choose anywhere that I wanted, as long as it was for free. So I actually went back to the housing projects where I grew up and started representing families, just mundane cases, asbestos on the pipes, lead paint on the windows, mostly single parents, single moms with way too many kids for a 1-bedroom and underhoused, as they put it. So I started representing people in public housing. And it was at that point where a large group of those women that I was representing in the old colony housing project said, "We never see our elected officials down here." They said, "You ought to run for office. We would elect you." And they said, "At least then you'd be getting a paycheck." So I talked it over with my wife, and I decided I would take them up on that. I ran for state rep, got elected. And lo and behold, 14 months later, Bill Bulger left to become the president of UMass, and I ran for his seat and was successful. I served for about 6 years in the state Senate. And then my dear friend Joe Moakley passed away. He was my congressman. I worked very closely with him. Our families were very close. And when he passed away, I ran for his seat and was successful on September 11, 2001, the day of the attacks on Washington and Western Pennsylvania and New York City. So I've had a 20-year career in Congress. I currently serve on the Financial Services Committee, which deals with public housing, among other things, banks and banking, credit unions, things like that. I also serve on the Oversight Committee, which is the single full-time major investigatory committee in Congress. And I also serve, last year I asked to be put on the Transportation Committee because I'm having problems with aviation overflights in my district and also pipelines. So I actually I used my seniority to get on the Aviation Committee because I had no leverage. We had no leverage as a community, as a district. The FAA is probably the most unresponsive agency. So I thought getting on the Aviation Committee would give me some leverage, and I've raised hell since I've been there on that committee. And then I asked to be put on the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Committee. So I'm sort of running at the problems. These are problems in my district, and I thought, again, with the pipelines, you know, the Natural Gas Act hasn't been amended significantly since 1935 when the oil and gas companies ran the place. And so I've been very active in opposing the pipeline expansions in West Roxbury in my district, which runs through a blasting zone, a quarry where they're actually blasting, and then the compressor station in Weymouth. So I've been very active on that. We've had some successes. We've got them on the ropes, but I'm not sure if that's going to be overturned by, by an executive order by the president. So we'll have to wait and see. But it has been a joy for me to represent you in the United States Congress. I think that Quincy is a shining example. What's best about America? It's got a blue collar, feel and vibe to it, and people still respect hard work in Quincy, thankfully. And I've been blessed to have them have you as my constituents. I think the most unique thing you can say about me in terms of what I bring to Congress on behalf of Quincy and my district is my perspective. I'm the only iron worker in Congress. I'm the only member of Congress out of 435 that has actually strapped on a pair of work boots for 20 years and gone out to work. I'm the only member of Congress who grew up in public housing. And I've been on the housing committee. So we're still waiting for someone else to arrive. So I think I bring a different perspective, a very unique perspective. These are extremely challenging times, but they're also exciting times. There's real opportunity for change in Congress right now. And I look forward to being part of that on your behalf. So I guess I could open it up to questions.
Please. Do we have questions for the congressman?
We do. Thank you, Congressman Lynch. We have a question first from Danielle Kemp. So let me find her. And there you are. Okay, Danielle.
Hi, Representative Lynch. I just wanted to know, what have you done to help the disabilities community so far? And if reelected, what would you continue to do?
Sure. So obviously we've made a number of, first of all, my closest friend in Congress is Jim Langevin, a congressman from Rhode Island who had a terrible accident. He was a police officer in Rhode Island and accidentally one day, he was a police officer. He was in the change room and a police officer in the next aisle was unloading his gun and accidentally discharged his weapon. It went through the locker and struck Jim in the spine. So he's a paraplegic. He's in a wheelchair, and he has been the voice of the disabilities community in Congress. I think in the House anyway. I have worked with him on a great many revisions to the Americans with Disabilities Act. If you look at, and I would encourage this for everyone on the call. There are a couple of great, well, there are more than a couple, but there are at least 2 or 3 fantastic websites that you can go on and get my voting record. And I would encourage you to do that. I think, especially during elections, there's all this mismessaging and blatant falsity that's out there. People are trying to get elected. They're going to lie about it, right? So the best thing to do, Vote Smart is one of the excellent ones, and that'll give you the good thing about that website is it'll actually give you my 20-year record, not the last 3 or 4. Some of the other sites are very good; they go into more detail, but they only go back like 5 years. So you know, I think it would be very helpful, especially like the LGBTQ community, HRC, the Human Rights Commission, which has endorsed me. They've endorsed me because of my 20-year record on LGBTQ plus issues. They've endorsed me. So, and they are the most relentless activists on behalf of the LGBTQ community in Congress or in America today. And I'm extremely proud to have their endorsement. The NAACP. Oh, by the way, LGBTQ, I've got 100% voting record with them, with HRC, since I arrived in Congress. NAACP, proud to say they have the exact same voting record as Maxine Waters, one of my close friends in Congress, a 94% voting record with them. So, you know, whatever your interest is, I would just suggest, I would highly recommend, because you're going to hear different things from candidates, right? About how they are, and, you know, they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. The internet is a wonderful thing if you use it. And I have a record. So I would encourage you to go online and look at what my record is. A couple of years ago, I was one of the, it's a conservative news outlet, but it said I was the hardest working Democrat on the House, which is a pretty good accolade, I guess. They said I'm the second hardest working member overall, but the hardest working Democrat, which I appreciate because I consider myself a workhorse, not a show horse, which sort of fits with Quincy's vibe and the character of your community as well. So anyway.
Okay, thank you, Danielle, and thank you, Congressman. I think our next question goes to Angela Cristiani, if I can find her. One moment. There we go.
Good evening, Congressman. Angela Cristiani here. You know me from my work with
I
the teachers in Boston.
I do.
Yes.
I haven't seen you in a while, but that's because of
well,
social distancing.
Social distancing, I'm very much around, but I am a Quincy resident, though I'm known for my work with the city of Boston and statewide. And I love that hearing that you did work with the, with the theaters, because my career started off with Boston Ballet dancing professionally. So that's very near and dear to me. Yeah.
My daughter as well, but she had the Lynch gene, so her career was much shorter than yours, I'm sure.
Well, I was blessed. Story for another time. I trained under Virginia Williams and did dance.
Wow.
And I did dance professionally. And I'll have to tell you the story about city dance in Boston. It was a thank you to 2 teachers, one of which was my mother, who was not a stage mother. And so that's a whole other story for another time. Okay. And my question is not about safe and supportive schools, because that, as you know, that was designed to embrace joint union management, public-private sector, and to support children in public, private, parochial, and charter schools. So that is my work, and that is my life's work on the education side. And of course, you know, my labor work. But my question is a little bit different tonight. My question is about the windfall elimination provision. I care very much about the children and our seniors. And I'm seeing what's happening to our seniors, and your thoughts around the WEP. I believe you were on board. It was like almost there a couple years ago with mass retirees. Just your thoughts, because I'm looking at our retirees and what's happening to them. And just so your thoughts.
Yeah. So those
you need to sort of explain that to the whole.
Yeah. So the
insider question.
Well,
so
the
you need to
elimination. Right. So what happens with certain employees who may have not been in a position that paid into Social Security, and they also have a pension? There's a penalty that actually goes into effect that discounts the amount that they receive in their Social Security benefits by the amount that they're getting. So they don't get the full benefit that they have earned, basically, is the bottom line. It's a dwindling number people who are affected, because some states have corrected this. So now is the best time, and I've been in Congress for 20 years. Now is the best time for us to be able to do this for a couple of reasons, because the cost is as low as it's ever been, because you have a dwindling number of people that would actually benefit from this. It's the right thing to do, by the way, because you're treating people disparately who are in a similar position. Our problem has been fiscal conservatives on the Republican side have refused to take this up. So that has been a problem for us in the past. When the Democrats had the Senate, we didn't have the House. And when we had the House, we didn't have the Senate. And then we lost the White House. So our efforts to get that bill taken up, has been thwarted by the other side. The other problem that we have right now, just so you know, is that under this coronavirus protocol, a small fraction of the bills that normally would be considered are being considered now, and that's for a couple of reasons. One is it used to take a half hour for a vote. Now, to get us all together and vote 50 people at a time, it takes hours to get a vote and to debate a bill, because we're now doing hybrid hearings where I'm actually flying down. I participate in person, but other members, they're in, California, Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and so they're not flying in. They're attending remotely, and so it's been much more difficult to get consensus on bills to be taken up. People who are against something have much more power, because under the rules they can put an objection or delay action and turn a 2-hour vote into a 6-hour vote, and the Republicans have done that. I don't want to blame everything on the Republicans, but they are certainly the source of a lot of the difficulties, because we've been required to try to get consensus on a lot of these bills, especially because think about it. If we know in advance that Trump is going to veto something and Mitch McConnell is not going to take it up, it's foolhardy for us to take a bill like the WEP up in place of another bill that, on coronavirus or opening the schools or the CARES Act or the HEROES Act. So I would also say that the chances of that bill coming up are probably negligible at this point, unfortunately. But November 3rd is another day. And so, we're hoping that the landscape will change dramatically and we'll be able to take that bill up in earnest.
Great.
Get here fast enough, even though I don't like to wish my life away. November 3rd can't get here fast enough in some ways as well.
I'm with you.
In all the right ways. I see, Nolan, that Emily has a question.
I think we had Winnie Peterson and John Peterson first, and then I can try to find Emily too, but I guess I'll unmute Winnie and John and see. I'm not sure which of them were first.
Hi there. This is Winnie Peterson.
Hi, Winnie.
How you doing? Kudos to your cousin Barbara, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a member of IATSE Local B4.
Oh, wow.
You are a legend.
Oh, thank you. I got to tell you, when they hired me, I got the largest contract for the women, at the wardrobe workers, basically. And
that's Carol Colantoni.
Oh, one of my favorites of all time.
Yes,
God,
isn't she?
She's unbelievable. She's great. She's great.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
She fights for her people.
Oh my God, like nobody I know. She's great. She's great.
So, Congressman, my question is around wages. It's
I'm
something
sorry,
very
around
near
what?
wages.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's something very near and dear to me. The problem is that when you have people who are working 16-hour days, 70-hour days. Almost 150 years ago in England, West End, they did a research on why these people were so poor. And they discovered it wasn't that they were not working hard, their employers were not paying them a decent wage. We come up 150 years now to the present, that's still not happening. And I was very disappointed because at the time I worked for the Mass Teachers Association, so we were really fighting for the $15 an hour wage. And Massachusetts decided to do it basically at a snail's pace, that you'd got an increment, which I found insulting, to be honest with you. I know it's just my humble opinion, especially because with all the housing going up in Quincy, if you're making minimum wage, you can't rent, you can't buy. All right. On top of that, you have your food, your clothing, your medical, and other necessities. So with the United States being really slow to increase that $15 an hour wage, actually it should be more, but we'll just start at we'll get whatever we can get. My question is that as a congressman, could you or would you be able to encourage this increase in salaries so that people who are working 16, 17-hour days, 60, 70-hour weeks can live a decent life? That's my question,
Okay,
sir.
no, a great question.
Be self-sufficient. Every family has the right to be self-sufficient. And that's what she's asking for. How do we get there?
Right. Well, look, as someone who worked full-time at raising the wages of my brothers and sisters in labor, both when I was president of the Iron Workers, I would negotiate. I actually think that one of the downward pressures on wages in this country is directly related to the National Labor Relations Board undermining the power of unions and of successive Republican administrations as well, undermining the positions of unions. We see it every single day. Every time there's a major spending bill that comes up in Congress, without fail, there's an amendment that's offered by, we just had the transportation bill 2 weeks ago. Without fail, there's an amendment to exempt Davis-Bacon, which requires union wages to be paid on a construction site that is funded by any part of federal money goes into a project. They have to pay the prevailing wage, so they have to pay the union wage. The Republicans repeatedly have tried to strip that requirement from these major projects, and right now, we've got Secretary Scalia, who is, an outspoken critic of unions and union wages. I believe that certainly, $15 is the minimum we should be paying. The argument that I hear from others in labor is, especially with workers who are, in menial jobs or less well-paying jobs, is that it incentivizes companies to automate jobs and hire fewer and fewer people in order to defer the costs of paying that individual. But I think if we revamped our trade policy and brought instead of incentivizing companies to send their jobs overseas, incentivize them to keep them here in the United States, we could have 100% employment and also, pay workers what they are worth, and pay all workers what they are worth. The one great blessing of a union contract is that everybody gets paid the same wage. whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Latino, whether you're Asian, whether you're American Indian, whether you're a woman, whether you're a guy, whether you're gay, whether you're straight. The union wage is the union wage, and you get it, benefits included. So it kind of eliminates all this other stuff. And since 1988 in this country, it's more likely that you are a member of a union if you are a person of color or a woman than if you were a white man. So it seems like the benefits are accruing to the least or the most disadvantaged under the current trend, but it's just not moving fast enough. And
let me just say, and I'll
Quickly,
wrap
Winnie,
this up,
because
and I
yeah,
really
please, thank you.
Sure, I really appreciate it. But if you take a look at the one percenters, the Jeff Bezos, the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, if all of those men and the Waltons paid a decent wage, they could give every one of their employees a defined benefit pension, and it wouldn't even be a drop in the bucket for them.
right.
And to me, that, well, as I say, just because it drives me nuts, it creams my corn, if I may, is that's just wrong, and it needs to be addressed, I think. And I was hoping, that's just where I am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So the ironworker on a defined benefit plan, I totally get that. However, every company, even UPS and others, have bought their way out of collective bargaining agreements that required them to contribute to a defined benefit plan, and now they're in a defined contributory plan, which is far less reliable in terms of the retirement benefits that it offers to people. But what's happening now is that foreign competition is eating our lunch, and so it's putting those American companies out of business. You're right. I do agree that if they were more social minded and more caring about their employees, that would be the natural result. But we're in this capitalist society, and their first obligation, they believe, is to their shareholders, which is extremely damaging, because it's that doctrine, right? Maximum return for the shareholders is what caused those jobs to go overseas in the first place. If they were really thinking about what's best for America, the country that allowed these companies to be successful and grow, they would be much more mindful. Some of that is coming, a little bit of that is coming back now because of the coronavirus showed that our critical supply chain for a lot of very important medicines and pharmaceuticals are based overseas. And I think it gave us a real warning when people like me had to be negotiating with the mayor of Shanghai to try to get PPE and other protective equipment into the United States. It was a ridiculous situation, but that's where we found ourselves.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, completely.
Country of these riches. We quickly need to go to Emily,
Hi, Emily.
so we can give the congressman an opportunity to close as well. So Emily, what's up?
Hello, Congressman Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Emily.
Especially today, as we heard on the news that Moderna was, getting closer or making steps in their vaccine development and testing. My question is, what will you see as Congress's role in making sure the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine is done equitably and ethically?
Right. Well, we can't do what we did with the PPP, which was the financial stimulus we put out there for businesses, because what we saw happen was that we pumped money, $600 billion out to the banks, and we were in a hurry to get money out to businesses, only to find out that the banks favored their favorite customers, and so that small businesses, urban businesses, minority-owned businesses were left out of the loop, and we had to go back in the second tranche and try to correct that. So What we cannot do with, you know, and I'm hopeful that Moderna is not just pumping their stock, because, you know, they've been accused of that before, of, you know, putting out reports that were really a minimal change, and their stock automatically shot through the roof. So I'm hoping that this is real, and that, you know, I mean, the end game here is, in order to open the country up and get us back to normal, we need that vaccine. But so we have language in the HEROES Act. We already had language in the CARES Act that required equitable distribution. However, the enforcement of that still has to be tightened up. So in the prior example under the CARES Act, they left it up to the states, state by state, and that cannot be the practice. You can't have 50 different protocols when people are out there, you know, trying to get a drug to basically save their lives and open up their economy. So, hopefully, you know, we'll have an equitable distribution, and that I do know that we will make it affordable. We will make it affordable. If we have to use antitrust language, we will make it affordable so that everyone has an opportunity to get the vaccine. That's got to be our goal.
Can I just ask a follow-up as to
Go right ahead, honey.
what does affordable mean to you? And I know over the last few years, flu vaccines have been covered fully under insurance. So if you know, the COVID vaccine is completely equitable to get, it would be free or fully covered for insurance.
Well, if you look at a person's income, so should it be free for, you know, multimillionaires that escape the tax, you know, their tax responsibilities anyway? I'm not so sure that's true. Certainly, you want everyone to be able to receive it. Those that are on mass health would obviously not pay. There wouldn't be a copay. But to repay the companies, remember, if we basically take this away from Moderna and say we're not going to give you any money for doing this, then the next time we ask people to do a vaccine, you're going to get 0 people that are going to step up and take that risk, right? So they need to make a reasonable profit on their vaccine, but they can do that in a way that still maintains affordability. And you know, maybe that's a role that government will play by allowing them certain level of profit, but again, guaranteeing that everyone can afford it. You know, we've done this in the past with other medicines, so you know, I'm sure that we can make an arrangement as well to make sure that this vaccine that doesn't exist yet every person will have access to that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We do have quickly, John, because we want to be equitable, speaking of equitable, between our candidates. Your question to the senator so he can give his final remarks. John Peterson, I understand you have a question. Quick.
Hi, John.
You need to put your mic on, John. Put your mic on. Unmute yourself.
John, you should just accept the unmute button.
Right.
There he goes.
How you doing? Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm fighting
I
we're
do
in
it
a
all
lot
the
of
time.
wars right now, and it's like being in Vietnam. Do we have an ending plan in this one, or like Afghanistan, we're fighting the grandchildren of the people who were there when we first got there. And a lot of our sons and daughters are paying a big price for being there. Do we have an ending game, or because I don't think it's winnable?
Right. I think everyone has come to that conclusion. I think we're down to 8,000 people in 8,000 personnel in Afghanistan. I haven't been there in a few months, but I know that the administration, the Trump administration, was in negotiations with the Taliban. I wasn't happy about the way that was going. They did not. Well, they basically said that the status of women in Afghanistan was not an issue that they were going to put forward, which is unfortunate because I think if there are any groups that have ended up in a better place as a result of our involvement in Afghanistan, it's been women. You know, we had a program there that I think, you know, looking back 50 years from now, you know, what America did right in Afghanistan is that we taught about 400,000 women how to read. We taught them up to the 3rd grade or 5th grade, depending on the program that we're in. And those women, in turn, are teaching their children how to read. So, you know, there is a withdrawal initiative. I'm not sure how that's going to unfold because there's disagreement between the Afghan government and the Taliban. The Afghan government was not at the table for the peace negotiations, so-called. But more and more responsibility is being put on the Afghan government. And so I would say that, you know, that it's a matter of months before you'll see a greater level of withdrawal. I think that, yeah, we just had the Special Inspector General for Afghan Reconstruction, Mr. Sopko, before my committee. And there's less and less military support there for State Department and other activities. So we're getting down to a bare minimum. I don't think it's a question of, you know, fighting a war over there. I think right now what the administration is trying to do is figure out a way to withdraw without bringing on total collapse. That's what they're doing right now.
All right. Thank you for the question, John. And Congressman, I sincerely want to thank you for taking the time. You got to get to bed if you got to get up and out in the morning. But we would like to offer you the opportunity for closing remarks and tell us if anybody is interested, how they can volunteer on the campaign.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say how thankful I am that you're having this forum. It's been very unusual. Usually, you know, I'm sort of a hands-on type person. I spend a fair amount of time in Quincy and Weymouth and all over my district. So it's been unusual to try to conduct a campaign in this environment. So I'm thankful for the opportunity here tonight to speak to you. You know, we've got such challenges in the country right now. You know, we didn't talk much about Black Lives Matter and the enormous change in our country and the momentous opportunity we have here, I think, to really move the country forward in a big way on the issue of race and of equality. It's an exciting time to be in Congress, and there's an energy and a vibe in the country that it would be a shame if we did not capitalize on this opportunity. And that's something that I would be proud to be associated with. We also have the challenge with the coronavirus and how are we going to get the country back up and running to a degree where everyone is able to share in the economy and share in the success that we have as a country. Those challenges remain. We're in the midst of doing the largest transportation bill in the history of the United States, which will mean, you know, it has significant meaning for the city of Quincy. You know, we're doing the T stations over. We've got major issues on climate resiliency in Quincy. I've been working with Mayor Koch on that. And, you know, there are some real challenges there. Going back to, you know, my conversations with and walks with Margaret LaForest, who was way out there ahead of a lot of people regarding what we needed in terms of seawalls. We have some seawall construction going on right now. I had an opportunity to get down with the mayor a couple of weeks ago and observe the construction. So I'm plugging away, making sure that the mayor gets the resources he needs and the governor gets the resources that he needs in order to, you know, meet not only Quincy's demands and requirements, but also every 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts as well, and 50 states as well. So it's a momentous time to be in Congress. It's a wonderful honor for me to represent Quincy, especially, you know, city of presidents and the great history and legacy that you have. And I am thankful for that. And I think that there's one thing I can say throughout my 20 years in Congress is that the most important relationship I have in politics is my relationship with you, the people that I represent. That's the way representative government works. And I'm very thankful. I've got a great district. You know, I've got 3 cities and 22 towns. And, you know, I'm just very blessed to have the district that I have and to have the responsibility of representing you in Congress. So that's all I got. You can go to our website, you know, Steve Lynch for Congress, and love to have your support. And if the conditions allow, I'd love to be able to get out there a little bit more and do some, not necessarily face-to-face, but mask-to-mask campaigning. So, but thank you for having me, Alicia. Thank you for all your work. You've been a stalwart on the Quincy Democratic City Committee for a very long time. We've been blessed by your leadership. You've been a common sense Democrat, and I'm really, really happy that that you asked me to come on tonight. Thank you.
We're honored to have you, Congressman, and we sincerely appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy you are and how hard you do work on behalf of our district. So thank you so much and stay well.
Thank you. You too. Stay well, everyone. Be safe.
Stay well.
Thank you.